League's Catalyst is winding down, and we take stock of our success and what we learn. Training skills without training them, reevaluating progression, and what RuneScape's Endgame is leads to a shocking discussion. Is the mid-game actually good? This is RSBANDB Update, episode 1062, recorded Thursday, November 6th, 2025, leaguing the way forward. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of RSBANDB Update. This week we are doing the league's wind down amongst some accessibility changes. We're also running video this week. We wanted to do that last week with the new league stuff, but we didn't get around to it for that. But Tanis, you're here as you are each and every week. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Shane.
Also joining us is everyone's second favorite Australian, Pernasius.
G'day all.
Down under on the video panel as he should be. And of course Bears as well. Are one of our PVM people, and you were on as a spur of the moment thing when we did the theory crafting leagues episode, and we wanted to bring the exact same panel back for this one in our leagues discussion. So we're just going to bring this thing full circle now that it's almost been a full 2 months. How are you doing, Bears?
I'm doing well. That was it like the day of or the day before the theory crafting episode. I was able to join, so I'm glad I did.
Yeah, and you were one of the people who was actually making the decision to get started a little bit later than everybody else. I think you decided on the day that we did that theory crafting episode.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure. I think that was the day they released all the relics, and I actually went through. I'm like, okay, this does kind of sound fun. All my friends were like, yeah, we're going to do it. I'm like, cool, I guess I'll do it. And my biggest holdup was the fact that the first week of the leagues, I was not going to be at my computer. So I played it strictly on mobile for the first week. But it was fine. I was able to figure out what I needed to do, but it was really fun. I had my iPad up playing the game, and then on my phone, I was scrolling through the wiki, like trying to find tasks to do. And the wiki is amazing. On a mobile phone, it's not the best. That's just most of the internet on the phone, but
well, you know what it is? It's the table, because tables are not inherently designed for our current way that we consume content on mobile devices. So that's where that comes from. But of course, before we get too far down the track, a big, huge thank you to all of our experienced tier Patreon members who make RSBANDB Update possible. This week, that is Amos Reed, Bladecom, Dominic R, Jade Gizmo, Jason S, Jesse W, Julia W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Ricky A, Sio Aces, Snail Mage, The Naked Captain, and Tim. You'll hear more about our Patreon offerings a little bit later in the show, but of course, we also do have full show notes and transcripts now available for the podcast. The show notes are always there, but the transcripts are a new addition over at update.show. You can also, of course, find the friends chatting game at BitsBytes. Chat with us there if you want. And, of course, we have a community Discord over at update.show/Discord. So just getting off the beaten path then here, going back to how we're going to do this. Effectively, what we're going to do is we're going to start with a bit of a recap of our plans and talk about how we did with leagues in general. So does anybody want to kind of just jump in? And I guess the first question is, did you hit the targets that you were hoping for? Anybody brave enough to take the first step here?
I came close.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No,
sorry, Ferris, you want to go?
No,
okay,
you got it.
I came close. So my personal goals were like to max, and I probably made over half. Yeah, So I was like, okay. I was happy with that once I got into the leagues. Now, also, there were some things that I'm going to talk about later that I did not participate in, and that's going to become important because I really played
you tied one arm behind your back, basically, with that.
But I mean, I guess I did, but it's just how I wanted to play. So that was one, but I was hoping to get to tier 7. I got pretty close. I was about 3,500, 4,000 away.
Okay.
And I could have finished that off at any time. I could finish that off right now, probably.
Yeah, you have until until Monday.
So I feel pretty good about the tiers and where I made it. But the other big goal that I had and thing that I feel like it did achieve was I wanted to try to dip my toe and see what I could do PVM wise. Was there anything that I could do with these bonuses and stuff? And
not on Legacy Combat.
Not
right?
on Legacy, right? No. No, full Revolution.
Yeah, like regular combat.
Yeah. But I actually had a lot of fun. Ran into a few frustrations we'll probably talk about, right?
And I think you and I were talking too, and it's good Bears is here for this. And I think the question that follows from that we were getting to, like, Bears, based on what you know about Mainscape PVM, how viable do you think Melee is for that mid to upper mid-tier combat if you're not going to be doing the whole switchscape thing? Like, let's just say you're going to go for the tier 90, tier 92 armor, and, you know, a tier 95 weapon like the Zuck sword, for example.
Yeah.
Like, how viable do you think that is without going full switchscape? You'd
be fine. You lose out on some damage from switching to the Arch Clay Core weapons, but at this point, most of your damage would come from the easy K anyways with melee. So, I mean, yeah, you could really sit there and camp it the whole time, not switch armor, not switch weapons, and still deal.
Because Tanis was wondering how viable that would be in the end game.
It is. Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, will you be able to do 4K telos with it? No. But like,
but I'm not looking for that, right? Like, I'm just
basically Wars 2 plus, right?
Oh, 100%.
Basically,
yeah. God Wars 2, you could sit there easily, probably with less gear, you could do that. Zuck may be a little more difficult, just because it requires like more movement and such, like some of the more mechanics, but all of God Wars 2.
What is that, Shane? An ECB and the
which one are you talking about?
The one that you use to wipe out, like, you can wipe out waves of them. It's a dragon.
Oh, that's the dragon two-hander in the EOF, and I think that was boosted heavily in leagues by the specialist relic. That was my sense.
Okay.
There,
I didn't know if it was or not. I don't know.
Yeah, because you're still gonna have the range of 7 with it, with using something like the Easy K and an EOF, but you're not gonna have the repeated spam ability because you don't have the specialist relic to save the adrenaline and have that extra 50% spec damage. That was very powerful in leagues, both for Shattered Worlds and for things like Zuck. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That was a bit of a sidetrack there on Melee combat, but
say the other thing that I did want to do was I wanted to try invention perks that I could never afford to do or get a hold of, and that was amazing. I have never benefited
really
from. It
puts it into perspective, doesn't it?
Well, I've never benefited from invention the way that I should be, because who has billions and billions of gold to just waste on a chance? Like, I don't. So that was really.
Which ones are you talking about in particular? What perks?
Oh man, I loaded all kinds of stuff up.
Like, are we talking biting, aftershock?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Yep. But I also did like, God, you guys are. All the PVMers are gonna laugh at me and stuff, but like, I was just experimenting and playing around, and I'm a sustainability guy. Like, I want to survive.
Yeah.
The Crystal Shield was powerful for me.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I loved it.
What made it?
It's great.
What made it so great?
Just that extra, like soak, right?
Oh,
Like
okay.
that damage that that extra. I don't know. It's not like I was doing anything where I could get KO'd like one hit or anything, but I noticed a difference. Like I thought it was really cool. So that was the other thing that I feel like I kind of achieved was like I did get to that point to where I could try that stuff and got to do that stuff.
Yeah, nothing really was in the relics that boosted the defensive side of it, right? Because it was mostly all offensive except for that lifesteal effect, which you definitely will not have on main.
And the good thing also was just being able to, go for those sort of top tier, what everyone says is the best. Yeah, it took me 100, 110 tries on one of them, but it didn't matter because I had all the stuff there. I just kept, go, go, go. It didn't matter. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'll just stop here. You could get your aftershock and crackling or whatever it was that, everyone sort of talks about and just sit there and just spam your things until it rolled around.
Well, that's what I've been advocating for a long time, too, is a way to reduce the RNG in invention.
Oh, yeah. I still think we should be able to buy those, those off the... or at least trade between players. Maybe if they don't want to put on the GE, I can understand that. But I should be able to go up to someone who's got it and just buy. I want aftershock. I don't want to, sit there and play bingo trying to get it. I just want it so I can, give someone the 100 mil or, whatever it is for it.
Yeah. So that's the targets. Tanis, would you say you exceeded expectations in places? Was that you're surprising yourself in PVM?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I guess I never thought about it that way, but a lot of my takeaways that we'll get into are PVM kind of focused.
Okay.
And, yeah.
What about relics? I know we drew this up the week before. And what you have now is not what you ended up with. You went excavator.
Yeah.
You said you were going to go farming, but you went.
I went 5-finger. Was it 5-finger? It was a thieving one.
Yeah, the thieving one. Okay.
Yeah.
You said you were going to go Fairy's Flight for teleport.
Yep, did not. I probably had the most changes of everybody.
Okay.
Didn't do that either. Did the Slayer.
All right. Tier 4, you said you were going to do Production Master.
Yep, didn't do that either.
So that was a Rejuvenate for...
Yeah, that was Rejuvenate for Golden Footed, and that one was good.
All right.
That was real good.
We know you went for Melee at Tier 5, and you were tossing between that and Necromancy there, so that's okay. You said Tier 6 was going to be Banker's Note.
Yeah, absolutely didn't do that. And that was pretty short-lived, thank goodness. I had talked to somebody like right after the show. I don't even know if the show had aired by the time I had changed my mind on Banker's Note. Because it seems really powerful on the surface, but
it really only helps rune crafting.
And yeah, and once I started thinking about, I can try these perks that I've never got to do because I'm poor, and I'm always going to be poor. So yeah, that's how I changed that real quick.
And then Tier 7 you didn't get to, but you were planning on
I didn't get to.
Thing.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. Wow, okay. So, and I mean that's good because I think what you got there is a good discussion of, how it was what you thought you were going to do and what you ended up doing instead. Mm-hmm. And, I felt like this one for me was my best planned league yet, in that I finally understand how to play a league. So if I'm going to go from the very top in terms of the targets that we hit, the one thing I'll say is that in any of the old school leagues that we did, I never hit top tier. I never hit beyond mithril rank in the old school leagues. I stopped here at Adamant rank. I decided that, 15,000 points. Do I want to do that for the next 2 weeks, or do I want to take a bit of a break? So I stopped at Adamant. I went for tier 7. And, the other thing that I think I'll say that was planned that I changed very quickly upon getting to tier 5, I think, because I got to tier 5 after we recorded our first Leagues episode. So that was just like 2.5 days in. I went really hard on that first account. Got to tier 5 there, chose Necromancy, and then realized, oh, I'm doing this grind again. And I am going to be doing all these rituals again. And I'm going to be doing Hermod again. And I will be doing Razheal again after that. And then everything else that feeds into Necromancy from all the subsequent skills that you need to unlock to go to God Wars 1, God Wars 2, and the whole shebang made me really think, no, I know my way around combat well enough that I feel like I can do melee. So I basically reset everything at that point. And we had Excavator, of course, for tier 1, which I think everybody chose. For tier 2, this one was different on the second playthrough. I actually went golden footed for that one because
not farming everyone. He went golden footed
because
it's good.
It's
though.
like it's your first 99, which is 200 points. It's another 200 points for the 50 mil agility XP, and you want to be running around agility courses doing that in a league. Versus we have the advanced time farming solution at the end of it.
And early money.
Well, the thing is, I wasn't strapped for money because, unlike other people, I did quests. So my May's Quest Caravan shop had me floating nicely until I started accumulating salvage. So that was fine. Then I went the Slayer Relic for tier 3. I probably could have went the Fairy's Flight again, given that I didn't have the farming relic, but I wanted to be different. Tier 4, I went for clues. And I think we need to talk about this as one of the other big things that came up, is that I think clues was objectively the right choice for anybody who wanted to get to tier 5 and tier 6 the quickest. Bears, Pyrn,
a lot of points.
What do you guys think about the clue relic choice that you guys did?
I hated it, but it made sense because, as you said, it was. I think there's too many points behind the clues.
It was 5,000 points.
Way too many.
But I mean, I love my clues, and it just wasn't fun doing them that way. It was great, just teleport every spot, bang, 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 but it didn't feel satisfying at all. It was like, just knock it out to get the points, and that was it, and that's all I did. And in all honesty, I think I got one of the dies off an elite. I only did probably 40 or 50 elites. Did a ton of the hard and the easy. A few mediums, but I don't know. It just it was very hollow. It just didn't feel like you weren't really playing the game at all. It was click. Yep, that's got that's got the stuff you have to wear. Change. Click. There's one I'll do. Bang. So while for points it was good, it was sort of not good gameplay.
Yeah, Bears. What about
to
you?
go off that? To go off that, like the rewards you get from clues are cosmetics, basically, right?
Yeah,
and like, what are you gonna do with the cosmetic in a limited time game mode? So, like in theory, like a lot of the stuff, like you can have that same mindset for everything, but like if you go get an upgrade to your weapon, that's going to make the rest of the gameplay feel better and like be better, but the cosmetic changes nothing. So that part was frustrating to me. I got because the 400 point one was like get a die or third age component, right? I got a third age component pretty quickly, and I just didn't go back. I'm like, it's just not worth it, and I'm glad I didn't get a die because, again, not worth it. So I agree. The gameplay didn't feel great. there are too many points assigned to it, and the rewards just aren't worth going for.
It was funny seeing how many people had dyed equipment running around, though.
Well,
might as well use it.
I don't know. Did I miss something? But it seems like clues had as much points as, even more than some of the core aspects of
You're not
the game.
wrong. You're not wrong.
No.
Clues had more points than many skills.
And I'm sitting there going,
why?
When is clues a core game mechanic?
It's a
now?
core game mechanic of leagues. It's a core game mechanic of leagues, especially the old school ones. You are at a disadvantage even more so in old school leagues than you were in this one if you don't take the clue relic and do clues. So that's kind of where we're at with clues on that. But after that, of course, it was perfection, as everybody imagined. I was going to do Ascension on the Necromancy run, but with Melee, God, I think with Melee you definitely have to do the Specialist as an option for our, things as simple as the Dragon Two-Hander that we were talking about, as well as the Dragon Claws. And when you get the Zuck Sword, even the Zuck Sword spec with that, just to have the extra damage with it, and holy crap, you become powerful with Melee. So that's kind of the plan and the things that got changed for me. And I think if I exceeded expectations anywhere, it's just how well planned a lot of my spreadsheeting for this league was, because I should have had this up and pulled up the links for this, but I basically had a spreadsheet where in one column, or one sheet rather, I had the list of tasks that were available to me, and then what I could do is I could just go tick a checkbox on that sheet, and then after that filter it out and then copy it over to a to-do list, and then I can just sum up the points column, and then lo and behold, there's my 4,200 points I need to get to tier 7 from in between tier 6, and it let me target things like the mining and smithing push that I did to tier 7, and then the woodcutting and fletching push that I did to adamant rank for that. So I think the thing that I exceeded on was definitely that I can now say that I understand how to play a league. So
one thing I will say, I mean, the user interface was very good for searching and such that they had in game for us, the task finder. I would have loved to have seen sorting by skills as well on there, rather than just all skills. I want to look at farming, I can just see what's in farming. I want to look at agility, I can just see what's in agility. That would be one. If I could ask them to do one thing next time, it would be to look at something sorting by individual skills. Yeah, that's fair, because you shouldn't need to outsource that to a spreadsheet to make that work. Exactly,
and a spreadsheet that you hook into the back end of the RuneScape wiki to call stuff up. Bears, what about you in terms of hitting targets and exceeding expectations? How did it all go in grand retrospect?
So the goal was to get best in slot-ish range. So I ended up only getting an ECB. So I didn't get the Bow Last Guardian or the Saren Godbow. So if I would have known that I was going to stop couple weeks ago, I probably would have taken a different tier 7 and taken the Specialist. So it's that the EOF one,
right? Because then you could have just chose.
Oh yeah, exactly. But at the time when I hit tier 7, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna keep playing this. I'll go get my SGB and Bow the Last Guardian, and yeah, I just never did. So that part was a little sad, but I was able to max. Trying to think what other goals. Like I got the ECB, so that only took me 11 kills. So that felt a lot better than in regular game mode. Where
and that sounds
55.
on par for completing any of the drops from the Elite Dungeons. So I think that's good. That was working.
Yep, that was good. I really enjoyed the tier 1 excavator. The just added bonus of getting archaeology materials from geodes was so cool.
Yeah.
One of the best sources for archaeology materials was just to go mine copper.
So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna sit down and watch a football game, 3 hours, and I just had my iPad up and I just clicked the inventory every like 10 minutes, not even looking at the game, just watching my college football game, and it was amazing. I got done and was like, I'll never need to get archaeology materials again. It was perfect.
The one material that I ran out of, and I always ran out of in the main game, gold rune. I don't know if you guys had problems with that.
And the annoying thing with that one is you had to do Defender of Iraq. Yeah. And I didn't even hit 100 quest points in the league. So there was no way I was doing that one. The range relic, looking back, was awful. I said it at the time. I didn't think it was going to be good.
But you're a ranged person, so you had to go for your combat style.
But man, was it bad. Just like in most bosses, it's not helpful to deal AoE damage. You're usually fighting 1v1 or like 5v1 and you're the 5.
And we talked on that bit a month before the league that range was missing sustain. And this relic doesn't add any sustain.
Yeah, so that was frustrating. There was a couple times where I think I told you this, Shane. I was doing a clue, and it took me to where the Moss Golems are, and I needed to kill the double agent, and the AoE aggroed one of the Moss Giants, and I just got absolutely smoked. I'm like, cool, thanks, game. I'm just gonna skip.
And
this
you couldn't even turn it off.
Then. Yeah. I mean, there were a couple other cases like that too, where there was a couple times where it's like these enemies look like they're right next to each other, but somehow my one tile of AoE is not dealing damage to the other one. And it's just like, I think ED2 is really frustrating with that. Like the dragons are just so big that they can't get within one tile of each other sometimes.
Oh yeah, so I guess that makes sense.
Like trying to lure them so they could be get next to each other was a pain. So that was frustrating. I think the biggest thing that I learned is the next league, if there is one, I'm going to figure out what the best in slot or like the best relic will be, or the best style, and I'm picking that for sure.
And see, fun. That's the thing. And that's the thing I was also trying to, I think, sell to some of you guys here on that theory crafting episode, and I know I sold Tanis on it. And Pyrn, because you guys were initially thinking necromancy at one point. Mm-hmm. I said Leagues needs to be about having a power fantasy. And I think the power fantasy was within melee and a choice between Specialist and Everlasting Faith. Because Ascension was just a very basic, flat-out DPS boost, whereas the other two were things that you don't get in the main game.
Yeah, I think, Magic was also pretty boosted too. I'm just getting more crits. Just seeing that damage was kind of fun. A couple of my friends took Magic.
Okay, how'd they find that?
So they enjoyed it. It was like they dealt so much more damage.
Right, because once you source your crit chance, you're good.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. But range just never got that boost at all.
No,
I was able to eventually. I got like an EOF with Dark Bow, and that was where most of my damage came from. Because with the more adrenaline, you could just shoot off more Dark Bows, which was nice. But yeah, it just wasn't good.
Yeah. You kept the farming relic.
I did keep the farming relic. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was actually really good because one of the best ways to skill was when it was, I don't even remember what hour it was.
Cruis.
In Prif. Yeah. You could just go and plant seeds and get the butterflies and boom.
Your lowest skill, boom,
That
boom,
is
boom.
the one thing I wish I kept
nice.
the farming relic for.
Yeah.
Just watch my dungeoneering go boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. I think I said this at the time of the last show. I didn't think any of the tier 3 relics were much better than the other.
No, it was very much a personal choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only one you question your choice of is if you take the Nexus one, right? Because that's already in game.
Yeah. I liked the fairy one because it got me to the wilderness flash events easily. Because there was a fairy ring right there by the imp that could teleport you there. If you did each right there by Edgeville.
Oh, by Edgeville, right.
And then you could just walk and talk to the imp to teleport you once you do one of each event.
Right.
So that helped. We kind of already touched on clues. The perks, yeah, I really like the perks. It was a tough that first day back on the GIM after having unlimited perks. I'm like, I really need another UF. Let me just go look. I'm like, oh, I don't have unlimited fortunate components. Shoot. So there were some tough adjustments like that. Like I said,
I had to call Pyrn back early to the GIM to help out to get me some divine charges because I ran out in my Zuck attempts.
Yeah. The other big one was, and it was amazing during leagues, but the boosted time for like surge or cooldown for surge.
Yeah, that's tier 4. That was
so good. And so like at Raksha, like with that you could dive out and then surge back in for P4 when you're like trying to avoid the tail swipes, and it would be off cooldown in time to do it again. And so my buddy who was basing Raksha was loving it. And then we went back to our GIM and he died like 4 times in a row. He's like, why is stuff on cooldown?
Right, because then you can bring it down to 10 seconds at most, which is, okay, but it's not as good as it was in the league.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to see like some of the muscle memory change in that short like month and a half that I played. Where I was like, oh, I have unlimited adrenaline, dark bow. And then I come back to the other game, it's like, where's all my adrenaline?
And maybe that's why my Zuck felt so bad, is that I had to go fully tanked out for that. Because that was the first thing I did when I came back to the game, was I got my Zuck cape. And I was wondering, like, I am dying to these, the waves that come right before the challenge waves. And then we went the entire tank route, added 2 pieces of obsidian armor, switched to the entirety of necromancy tank armor with that, and then that got me through. But I felt fragile coming back. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, and then the tier 7 book that I got was actually so much fun. It was
okay.
I did like it. At one point before I had my ECB, I was pretty convinced that the book was dealing more damage than I was, which is fine, I guess. But
did the RNG of it annoy you? How you couldn't pick which one would activate?
No, not really. I think I really only noticed it when like the Wen book would go off. All the other ones are just like added damage. Like I'd be like, oh, I didn't know this jazz book was going off, but there's a 20k from the jazz book. Or so yeah, it was good. It wasn't, I think the EOF one would have been better for what I ended up doing, but I'm still happy with my choice.
Yeah, and I mean, did you also feel anything on the periodic increase to your combat stats of 255?
Surprisingly, that felt less good than I expected.
Because you'd think like 255 defense periodically would feel good, and you would notice that.
Yeah, or just like the damage increase in that. Yeah, I like wouldn't see my stats go up to 255 and notice no difference in damage. So
yeah, and that's what we said. Kind of like just a flat damage boost with that one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything
Finally
else?
me.
Yeah. On to you. And you didn't. We went through your plan changes. So yeah, Pyrn, you're up.
Yeah. The Bears has nothing else.
Nope, I'm good.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, my first couple of relics were basically pretty set. Excavator was fantastic. I was tossing up between that and one of the Hunter one, just because I didn't like Hunter that much, but
Hunter wasn't a problem with the flash event.
No, exactly right. And
surprise,
the flash events were the they were the dark horse of the whole league thing. Flash events, they just got so many of my sort of least favorite skills up to the 99s without any real effort. But the big thing was as you said, the geodes, just all the stuff, and again coming back to the Iron Man account, I've got some geodes there. I'm opening up, and I'm not getting I'm not getting all my stuff from. I'm going, hang on, that's all the crap. I'd love to see maybe in those higher geodes we do something like that rather than what sort of come out of them in the main game.
Yeah,
anyway.
but they're limited to mining.
Yeah. The farming, love the farming relic, stuck to that one.
Yeah, for the reason Bears mentioned, right?
Exactly right. I mean, I didn't even realize at the time that the Cruisow was giving butterflies. I was I'd already hit 99 farming before I realized. No, I was 92 farming when I was there on Cruisow, and I'm sitting there going, there's a Guthixian butterfly. There's another one. There's another one. It was just like it's like 3 out of 5 seeds were producing a Gothixian butterfly. And, early on I was doing dungeoneering through sinkholes, but, just that got me just doing one Cruisow got me, I think it was 17 dungeoneering levels. Just catching butterflies. Wow. Yeah, it was just ridiculous.
So farming was here's the thing. What I'm going to say is I think farming in that regard then
is the meta.
That was the relic to choose for the early to mid game progression.
Yep.
But if you wanted that 99 and 50 mil from agility, then the agility one was the one to go for, probably.
But even with that, like later on for the herblores, chasing easy herblore levels was so good because bang, 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 you're just smacking them out. You go get your mushrooms. Bang, bang, bang. So once you hit sort of, I think it was 92 herblore, you've got Morchella mushrooms and you've got fell stalks. You're growing instantly, and like my herblore just flew up. I hit 120 herblore, no worries at all. Farming, I think, definitely was again another dark horse in it. We knew it was going to be good, but I don't think we knew how good it was, and especially with those things like the Gothixian butterflies and things that it was sort of helping you with. Tier 3, I was going to go necromancy.
That's tier 5.
Sorry. What was tier 3? Oh, tier 3
was the teleport.
It was the Slayer,
which is what you planned.
Yeah. Yes, that one, and loved it. I mean, that skull was brilliant just to get around, and especially Anachronia. Once you hit dinosaurs and such, always hated on those. Going out there. I mean, it'd take you those 5 or 6 minutes just to get to the bloody place. To start killing them, and if you forgot your note paper and all that for the bones, or you didn't have the relic on to note the bones, it was just a waste. So can't say enough about that one. I think I went the right one there.
And we already talked about your clues, which you kept.
Yeah. I kept the clues, but yeah, we discussed that earlier, so I won't go over that again. But then tier 5. I did go melee. I was tossing up between the two. I think when we were doing our theory crafting, because I thought 500 was just an extra 500 damage, and then you said no, it's 500 on top of your thing, and sitting out there just getting the Laniakea spear, got that early days.
Yeah, and I mean when the Laniakea spear. Such an easy weapon to get, boost to beyond what we have in the Endgame for halberd weapon. I mean, It's an easy choice.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. And I didn't get a dupe drop on my spear. I got all 4 parts, one after the other, in 89 kills or 86 kills, something like that. So I was really lucky because in our clan we saw, one of our clan members had 11 of one piece while chasing, I think it was the shaft. So he got shafted big time.
Wasn't he north of like 200 kills?
Something like that, yeah, before he got it. Yeah, he got 11 of one piece, and it was just like, that's bad. And see, that's something, again, I think, especially in leagues, we should be looking at is having
bad luck mitigation.
Just no dupe drops or something like that. You get one after the other after the other. You shouldn't be getting 11 feathers and no shaft.
I have a controversial take on this. What if the problem is the way the drops are and not the rates?
How do you mean?
You don't like Usually, you don't like how like the FSOA is split up into 3 parts. The
Right.
bulk
What
is
if
split into 3 parts.
what if it was its own piece, or you just got shards over time that allowed you to build the weapon?
Shards over time would be great, or just the one piece. I mean, okay. The problem with doing one piece, though, is you are, in the main game, to make a Laniakea spear, you are probably expecting 400 or 500 kills before you can make the whole spear.
I think the expected value is probably closer to 700 or 800.
Well, there you go. So to go there and go dry for 800 kills before you actually get the spear, at least when you're getting pieces, you're feeling progression. So I see your point, but I also see the point of that. But I do like the idea. I mean, they do it with things like Triskelion keys. You go 1, 2, 3. You know, they do it with the in archaeology with the compasses, the tetra compasses. So they can do it.
I think you were going to say something, but we'll come back to bad luck mitigation after. Bears, I think you were going to say something. Were you going to jump in on that at some point?
No, I was just going to point out like the FSOA is also the 1, 2, 3, Bow Last Guardian 1, 2, 3. So like they have examples of it. I think relatively those work because like there was said, if you would go 500-600 kills without getting any piece of FSOA, I'd feel awful. But getting that one piece every 150 kills, you're like, okay, I'm going to stay motivated. I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Because
and at least those drop in order.
Yes, exactly. But if you look at if you think about Dragon Rider Lance, that drops once. I mean, it's only a 1 in 128, I think. But if you go 200 kills without that, you're like, I don't know if I want to go back anymore. It's annoying, and that's still actually a pretty decent trap rate for RuneScape.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay,
I agree. There's arguments for both sides. I think you can figure it out. Both work, both don't work. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and you definitely did not go Banker's Note.
No, I chose Banker's Note in our show, but again, looking at it and then. When I sat, because basically once I got to the tier 5, I go, okay, let's see what I'm going to do for the next relic, and I looked into them both, and when I sort of realized, well, hey, with Perfection, I can make as much note paper as I want to. All I have to do is cut the logs. That's fantastic. And then I thought, okay, we're not doing, because I flew through archaeology and I got the noted one there fairly early too. So it was like I didn't even need to make note paper in the end. So really glad the Perfection, I woke up and took that one. Again, probably the meta in that tier. I think the 2 tiers, the farming and the Perfection were pretty much the best you could go for in those, where the rest are just, whichever one you like.
There was no choice in the other ones. That's my controversial opinion there.
Tier 7
from your combat style and tier 7.
Yeah. Tier 7, I went the Forever Prayer. That's brilliant. I mean, I could concentrate on, trying to learn some of those other bosses without, oh shit, I'm running out of prayer. Why am I getting hit type thing. One thing I didn't get was an EOF. I went to Rax. I did 27 kills at Rax and didn't get an Onyx. I built my filter where I got my first Onyx in a week on the GIMP account.
You know what the best source of Onyxes is? I think
just kill Zuck.
Zuck,
yeah. But
did you get that done?
There. No, I was going to go back. I mean, see, that was the whole thing. Getting to this, I was going for tier 7 and Rune, the Rune Cup, and I thought that was my goal, and maxing obviously, which I did fairly early on, and then I was going to do some bossing. And I thought, look at all these extra points. I might as well go for Dragon. So I went for Dragon, knocked that out, and then. Well, it's only 3.5k more points to unlock everything in the shop. So let's just do that. And I had all my plans out, and then I thought, geodes, I've got 6 geodes. Let's just go down and mine some concentrated coal for the last 4 geodes. So I got those in about an hour and a half. If anyone wants the metamorphic geodes, concentrated coal was the best place for it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Someone told me that. I went down there and as I said, got 4 in an hour and a half.
103 mining, never saw one.
Yeah. I hit I think it was 60 odd mil mining, and I had 6 in that time. Wow. So yeah. And out of one of those geodes dropped a full dragon helm. So basically
that was another task.
That was another, I think it was 400 points on that too. So it was bang, bang, and all of a sudden it's like, well, I've only got 80 points to go. So just wipe those out, just doing a few basic things, and that was it. The herb lore went really quick because I had spell stalks. Just they were coming out my ears. Yeah. And Morchella mushrooms. And
conversely, my herb lore was Dream of
the majority of people do. Yeah. And running time runes. I mean, I sat up in RuneSpan where I was getting about 1 mil XP an hour, which is pretty good. I mean, you can't really complain about a mil an hour normally. But then once I hit the time runes, 6.5 to 7 mil an hour just running time runes, which
that's so much better than RuneSpan. The push to 100 rune crafting in RuneSpan was just tough, annoying. I know Bears, you and I were going back and forth as we were both doing that.
I did Rune
and that's the problem.
Almost every day for it.
It
was still bad.
That was the trick to kind of supercharge that.
Yeah, and that was the problem. I mean, RuneSpan, even doing RuneSpan with 16 times, it was the slowest skill. I mean, even agility. I mean, you run a few courses and you're going, 2 or 3 levels each Anachronia run anyway. So it wasn't a big. I didn't think agility was that big. No,
and it might not have been in hindsight. Which...
Yeah. But that $50 million GP thing that everyone was getting out of it too, I think was probably all right. But I just felt rune crafting in this was probably the worst skill, and especially when there was a few
I think it's got its issues in the main game as well, and it's being
no one touches it,
and it's being conveniently ignored because Soul Runes is AFK enough, and then you have things like the Runica Tuner and RuneSpan for AFK and then Necrotic for
but I mean I think they should do it, especially in this leagues where there were so many points tied up in RuneSpan points. Like I hit 120 rune crafting
before you did all the points.
Yeah, no point. Yeah, I did the outfit, which was I think it was 18,000 points. I needed all up for the outfit, and you needed another 25,000 for
and that comes down to point distribution too, which I think is something.
Yep,
we can
same as the Seren, the attuned crystal teleport seed.
4,000 harmonic dust, points, but not boosted.
Yeah. No, and I mean, you're just watching your levels in crafting going up, but you're getting 700 an hour during the Ithil hour. So I don't know what it was like outside the Ithil hour where you're getting that boost
mobile.
On it. So yeah.
Do it on mobile.
Yeah.
So, and I think anything else, because I think from there that's kind of getting towards the more wider game sort of things we need to.
But again, I hit my goal. I exceeded all my goals basically. So the only thing I didn't do was
Zuck.
Do the high level bosses. The Zuck. I wanted to do Zuck. I wanted to do Raksha. And I wanted to try Zamorak. And I've still got the weekend to do it, but once I hit that sort of 63.5, I was just like burnt out, and it's just like, I've just had enough at the moment. So
yeah, fair enough. I'm going to thank some Patreon supporters, and it's important to do that because we have our Patreon tier that came in last week retiering, minor retiering. But this week, I'd like to thank Alaska, Alvaro L, Amos Reed, Arvidsel, Bladecom, Brandon F, Chilbura, Dominic R, Duramax, Golden XP, Gila Fleur, Imperialis, Jade Gizmo, Jason S, Jesse W, Julia W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Matt Man, Michelle M, Mike Wings, Mongrath, Pernasius, Ricky A, Robbie D, Rob Sobs, Samuel FL, Scott DS, Shirt Pants, Sioaces, Smavin, Snail Mage, Tabby, The Naked Captain, The Dabbing Goat, Tim, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazakon. Big, huge thank you, everybody. And if you're wondering what all this is about, head on over to patreon.com/RSBANB. We have 4 ways of supporting us, but mainly 3, because the experienced tier is presently sold out. So right now, if you want to sign up there for as little as $1 a month, you can do that. Patreon.com/RSBNB. You get access to the full monthly bit library, voting rights on upcoming monthly bits, which we'll be discussing summoning in 2025 for the next monthly bit. Patreon members voted on that. And you also, of course, have the satisfaction, aside from the thank you, of helping fund the cost for hosting and production of the podcast. For $3 a month, we have our community tier where you get a VIP rank in Discord and a special chat channel. You also get the monthly shout out on the show at the start of the month, plus high quality stereo audio. And you'll also, of course, with that, have the option to take part in workshopping monthly bit ideas with other Patreon members. You'll be able to submit discussion topics for quiet weeks on the podcast, take part in our community nights, and hear a new producers behind the scenes feature that we're running on Patreon. Then we have the insider tier for $5 a month. You get a weekly shout out on the podcast and expanded access to clips from the show. With that, you'll of course get the outtakes that we use to make the clip show at the end of the year, but you'll also get extra little clips that we include from pre and post show that just might be interesting, and just a little bit more of a glimpse into the behind the scenes bit. So think of that as our extra clips tier. And of course, periodically we'll be asking Patreon members at this tier to share their thoughts, and their thoughts could make their way into the next episode. And this also includes the RSBNB update Christmas card. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, head on over to patreon.com/RSBNB and sign up for as little as $1 a month. And you'll, of course, be helping support your favorite podcast. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So I wanted to go into, our biggest learnings and takeaways, and this is going to be a bit more of a free flow here. And I think one of the things that I honed in on fairly early on in the league was how many skills we can train in this game without interacting with their core loops. And what that means is doing things like Divine Caches, the Gate of Validness, Flash events, and those are just a few of the examples. Tanis, you said you didn't fall prey to this.
No, I didn't do a single cache, not a single flash event, nothing like that. I trained the skills the way I've always trained them. It was just faster. So like my perspective really was like, this is how it could be to get to in-game content if you know what I mean? Like I didn't really do any shortcut methods because it's just not my style. And you don't have to when you're not grinding for years on end.
That's a very key point, grinding for years on end, because as Pyrn was saying, how long did it take your combat stats that weren't the one you were doing to go from 60 to 99?
2.5 days. That's basically, yeah. I went to flash events mainly to get ashes to train my prayer. And yeah, you do them, but then the combat ones, you get a combat lamp. Okay. I love training magic. I've got magic gear. That's fine. What's the hardest one to do? Range. No real good range gear at my level that, I can make because I need 10 levels above. I can't get a decent weapon. Chuck it on range. Jesus. 6 levels? Cool. Next event. Bang. Another 6 levels. Sweet. This is going on. I'm going out to the next one. And yeah, from 60 to about 75, it was jumping like, 5 or 6 levels a pop. After that, it was about 4 levels a pop. Even from 90 to 95, every lamp was a level. And it was just like, I wasn't expecting it, and it wasn't something I thought of training that way. I was going out there for the bloodweed seeds and ashes. That's all I wanted, and and like even the skilling ones, like the farming one and the hunter one, you're catching butterflies. Jumping 3 or 4 levels, just catching butterflies and things like that. They were flash events. Were really, really good. I didn't do divine caches. Gates of Elidnus.
We kind of had to for crafting.
Well, yeah, but again, you still had to do one of the quests.
It was a short 5-minute quest.
Exactly, which I didn't I thought it was all the quests at first, and I thought, I can't get in there. So I just did I did my gems up until about 92, and then I think you said, no, it's just the one quest. And I looked at it. Oh, yeah, because all the rest are ticked off.
Yeah, it's a little 5-minute one.
Exactly. So from 92 to 100 was probably an hour and a half, 2 hours of Elidnus.
What about you, Bears, in terms of any of these sorts of things that bypassed, the core training methods? Did you interact with those? Where did you land on those?
A little bit. I'm sitting here trying to think what I did for construction, because I got it to 99, but I didn't do any of the fort quest line, so I didn't do anything in the fort.
Oh, wow.
Again, when I started, the first week was all on mobile, and I was not going to do any quests on mobile. And at that point, then they were like, "Oh, we're going to make this quest line possibly be auto completed." And I'm like, "I'm just not going to do it." And then they didn't actually do anything with it, really. And then I was
they made it faster.
It's too late. Yeah, but at that point, I'm like, it's too late. I'm already committed. So I really don't remember what I did for construction. I think it was just random lamps from random things.
Quest lamps, maybe.
Yeah, but I didn't do too many quests, so I don't know.
Did you do the World Wakes?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, because you need that for death swiftness, right?
Yeah. So
how stupid was the XP off those ones?
Yeah, that was nuts. So I did that. Let me think what else I did that was kind of different. That it was just like some of the summoning training where it's like, oh, the shop that usually only sells one item at a time, like you can go buy 1,000 and boom, that's summoning. Or like getting potions from the gobies. So it's like, yeah, I can just sit here for an hour just
spam clicking.
Yeah, that was kind of nice.
And I'm glad you mentioned the gobi shop, because that's important. Because that one does not ruin the game. Because in the main game, there is one of each potion in there.
It's an emergency. Yeah.
But
it's not daily. It's
how long does
it's every 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
Because on my iron, I sit there, I'll do fletching there, do a couple of inventories on B by the super set.
Okay, I thought that was a daily shop. Fair enough then. Mm-hmm. But
I'm trying to think what else. There might have been, I think there was something else I was just thinking about.
Here's the thing, though. The thing that I see with this is that, I wanted to just say the flash events, because Pyrn, you're saying it's 5 per pop, right? But the thing with that
early ones, but yeah,
is that yes, we understand that this is with 12x, 16x XP, so it's going to do that. But the point is if you extend this out over months on a main, you can do that exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't have to train.
Questions if things like the flash events and the divine caches in particular, and even the Gate of Elidnus when it comes to crafting, are healthy for the game as is.
I think they should be stars, not lamps. If they're going to drop XP, you do it as bonus and not as direct. But
yeah, I actually like.
I mean, Gates of Elidnus. Gates of Elidnus, I don't mind, because in the main game, it's a fair amount of questions.
I think it's about 230k XP an hour in the main game.
Exactly, and there's a lot of questing and such behind it. There's a lot behind unlocking gates of validness, whereas flash events, I can make an account today and go and start doing them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So the point that I wanted to make here is that I think we have to have a serious conversation when this integrity roadmap does come about training skills without interacting with the core skill, if that makes sense. And I mean, even if it, brings XP rates down a bit, Tanis, you said you were for training the skills as, as they were intended in the league. How would you feel about that in the main game if the integrity roadmap says, hey, let's just have skill training focus on interacting with the actual skills rather than things like flash events or caches or daily challenges?
I think that's a good thing, but I don't necessarily see why XP has to go down, but that'll kind of go into something later, whereas XP should be looked at as progression instead of this number anyway.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the game is entirely too slow, period. Just overall.
Wow.
After seeing League, before Leagues, I would have said no, because I like the grind and all that. But seeing that and getting to unlock things in that quicker way and such, and I've got a bad back. I've been deemed unemployable because of my back, so I get to play. If I want to play 17 hours, 18 hours a day, I can. Most people can't do that. So seeing that and seeing the interaction and people helping out each other on the quick ways to do things and such, I can sort of see increasing XP rates now, especially as we're getting more and more 110s and 120s. I can sort of see a rework of how XP is in the game and making it faster.
So
make it faster, and you're already looking at look at the MTX changes we talked about last week. You're removing a lot of the direct XP that Shane's talked about, the way that it's coming in. Of course, that's an MTX route, but still, I think you can do both things. I think it's probably going to have to happen eventually. We'll see how everything shakes out.
So what do you do then after you've maxed? Like, RuneScape has always been about the journey. What does the game look like? I think so.
Last few years, I think it has changed a lot more. Not on the skilling side, but certainly a lot more bosses and things. So
that makes me really uncomfortable.
I always wanted to fight the notion that PVM is RuneScape's endgame, but guess what? It is. It just is, and it's okay because it's not that different than any other MMO out there. The difference is, do you want to get to that end game, in a relatively reasonable amount of time, or are you really into that slow clickety click? Eventually, maybe next year you'll get there. I'm not there anymore.
But that's a fundamental shift for how we view the game. In terms of
it's a 20-year
on the value
of
XP in the end game. In terms of pushing people there.
Yeah, but it's the only thing that's going to fix it. We can't move the numbers around.
Why not?
The levels don't
matter.
Why
can you not move the numbers around? Why can't you rebalance the entire game to be more progressive in terms of the XP and focus more heavily again on the mid range?
Well, no, I think you can do that. What I'm saying, you can't just. I used to think we could just add a decimal. Problem fixed. Problem ain't really fixed.
No, it's not.
And you also look at things, I mean, again, as you said, it is a 20-year-old game, and some of the skills are 20 years old, and not a lot has been done over that time. When we see things, I mean, there's nothing that says we can't look at a multiplier on your level to XP. So at level 10 on a basic wood tree, you're getting your 15 XP or 20 XP, whatever it is. But if I go back and cut that tree at level 50, I might have every 20 levels you get a multiplier on it. So rather than 20, I'm now getting 30 XP.
So hang on. So are you guys both saying now that one of the things that has come out of your league's experience is you want the game to be faster?
Well, I've always, I mean, absolutely. And I've always been a advocate of higher XP rates and stuff like that. But now I see the rate as kind of meaningless in regards
and I'm
to
sorry,
the progression.
maybe this was the perfect episode to do video on, because I think the expression on my face says everything right now.
Especially coming from someone like me, but I mean,
yeah,
before leagues I would have said no, but I mean, in all honesty,
Bears?
After playing leagues,
I can't be the only one that wants the game to be slower.
No, it sounds like they're calling for RuneScape 4. I mean, to a certain extent, there are some brutally slow skills. I mean, I'm getting close to max on my Gim right now, and it's a slog to do. Agility and Dungeoneering are the two big ones left that I'm just like, I don't want to do these. But at the same time, there's also still super fast ones. So I think it's more about figuring out which ones are the lowest and boosting those up more than just boosting everything. Because, I mean, how fast is construction nowadays? If you have the parts, it's fast. Same with summoning. Like those
but
don't
look at
need
something like fishing.
boost.
Yeah, that's right. But look at something like fishing, where and
it's effectively the primary gathering skills that are slow.
Yeah, beforehand. Okay, go.
I was going to say there's an essential component with this, and I mean, Bears, you're talking about the GIM, but I think we can't overemphasize the fact that leagues are doing all this as an Iron Man, and that makes a huge difference. In this time span of
2 months.
Yeah, but that makes a huge difference between, like, is summoning normally fast? Yeah, summoning's a fast skill, but it isn't as fast when you have to get your own shit, like, and you have to do that with everything, right? Like, so even the fast skills are, I don't know, it all kind of balances out. Like,
but you look at things like fishing. Yeah, you go back 10 years ago. Fishing was okay to be slow because you were catching those fish, cooking them to be used in the game. Advancements in the game where food is relatively meaningless these days. Yeah, you still use a bit of it, but you don't
Blubbers
use
and brews.
Exactly.
That's what I use on my main for food. Bears, what's your PVM go-tos?
Yep, blubbers and blues. But like anything outside of like, if you are going to use sailfish, you get them all. Yeah, sometimes they're raw and you still have to actually make them. But like you get most of that from PVM.
Exactly.
So, yeah, fishing is not helpful now.
No. I mean, and that's the thing. A lot of those older skills that were so good in the early days, they're just not helpful these days. And that's, and yes, that's come down to a lot of PVM drops taking a lot of that skilling stuff away from us.
So why not propose a grand integrity bargain then?
Okay.
Completely revamp the question around XP and items in the game so that everything that is needed in the game is produced by the players and everything generally has a use. And what I mean by this is not everything down the absolute XP
no, you're
table
talking,
on this.
80,
is that
90 onwards, yeah.
Make it so that we're not having these discussions about useless items and things like that. Because I think the entire discussion that, really made me question it was when you were saying, Pyrn, is that if you come back to a normal tree at 80 and add a multiplier to it, to me that doesn't necessarily make sense, because that tree is still having the ability to be used to create a normal plank, which can be sold on the GE or used in entry-level fort buildings.
You may not even need to do an XP
way.
multiplier. You do a drop multiplier. I mean, I'm a much better cutter now. You know, I'm level 80. I'm cutting a level 10 log. Why aren't I getting 3 logs a chop or something? That's what I'm saying. You're doing it. Your experience should reflect what you can do. Yeah, it's okay. It's going to take me 3 minutes to chop a magic log at level 80, but why am I doing the same chopping at level 20 that I'm doing?
I have another question for you guys then. Why do you guys feel the game needs to be faster?
To get to the end game.
Well, why do you need to get to the end game?
To play with your mates and do that. Like a lot of people. I mean, end game these days is. I mean, I'm not looking at making a game to be as fast as Leagues or even half as fast as Leagues. I'm just looking at some of those skills that 10 years ago had a use. I didn't care about it being slow because I'm doing fishing. Yeah, I'm only getting 80,000 XP an hour, but the fish I'm catching is going to be used for my cooking. It's going to be used for my slayer.
What if the problem is that
I don't take food for? I kill level 110 slayer creatures. I take all I need is my enhanced Excalibur.
What if the problem? What if the problem is the mid-tier content doesn't provide enough use cases for these things?
That's exactly right.
And it's not engaging enough as you level up. Because that creates the feeling that you need to push through it.
That's faster. Right. So why have it as a grind when it's not useful?
Well, and see, I think that's a very and please don't. Nobody on this panel take this the wrong way. I think that's a very elitist endgame perspective.
But why? No, I would have agreed with that.
Because I think that so many people who play this game have become so hyper fixated on that endgame that that's how you get to that point, which is why this entire discussion is going there. But I think old school, if you look at old school, has a good model that the bulk of the game is in that end game from that 50 to 85 band for pretty much every skill. And it's something that has actually received updates over the last half decade or so that have made it quite good. And that was another thing that I wanted to highlight in terms of reworking general content, was that I think a good portion of our mid-game content is old, as you guys have been rightly saying here, which is creating, and I think this is where you guys are at, is I think it is creating the sense that you just need to go past it. When in reality, I think the action that needs to be taken as part of the integrity roadmap is to look at the mid game and see what exactly does not fit in 2025 and adjust.
I think we need to be looking at new methods, right? Because it's not fun. You could say mid game, end game, it's all the same training methods, it's all the same stuff, and I just don't want to do that anymore. Like I didn't come, like, I came to this position. I didn't start here. I was complete opposite.
I know, and that's what surprises me the most. And the fact that Pyrn is in agreement with you. It's like,
because playing through and sort of getting to the content where I'm getting stuff that's useful. And again, I was, as I said, I went through that period where, getting that stuff from, your level 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, I was using for other things that was useful. But as the game has gone on and all this stuff has come, I mean, magic logs, what are they, 200 GP each now? Because so many come in from
but when you turn that off, though, like when you turn that off, everything changes. Like, you turn the market off, pretend it doesn't exist, and you are your market.
They're 940.
You and your hatchet, and you are the man. Everything changes. Like, you look at the game different.
So
I never consider the economy.
Let's get Bears in here because he said something.
Do you guys think
back and forth?
Do you guys think early game is better than it was 2-3 years ago?
I think the early game is wonderful.
Early game, yes.
Yeah, because
it's the mid game.
They spent multiple updates trying to do stuff for the mid or for the early game. So,
yep.
I mean, it's still not perfect. Will it ever be? No, but it is probably in a good shape where they can move on and start making some updates to mid game and making that better. And so, I mean, I'm guessing they know that as well. So
I'm hoping we see more of that in the integrity roadmap in Havenhide.
Yeah. See, as I said, like going on the Group Iron Man, going through Menafos and all that was fantastic.
But that's just one thing. That's just Menafos.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Because that's a mid-game update that we've had recently.
So the answer, and I think before we jump the shark and make the game faster to get to Endgame, I think the mid-game needs to be looked at first.
Of course. If they do that,
that's fine. And also look at it, that you got to take this into account. One, I'm not looking at an economy as a whole, nor am I looking at this as a one account game anymore. I'm looking at this as playing many accounts. I want them all in the end game, and I want them doing different things, specialized in different areas and different things. So like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just, more used to that other style now, but I didn't enjoy that being 70s 80s band.
So you didn't enjoy the mid game.
There you go.
So let's fix the mid game first, and then with that evaluate.
But that's going to take it. What the problem with that is for people like Tanis and myself, that's great, but is the money, the budget to do that worthwhile to them when they're not bringing in new players?
What if they're not bringing in new players because the entire push of getting everybody to max 120, 200 mils, trim, comp, the whole shebang like that is putting people off because there's no mid game?
But that's what most of the other, I mean, you do games like World of Warcraft and all that. I mean, you max your account in a week or two, and that's all end game stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's a fundamental question of does the RuneScape experience need to be that way? And
I think people these days
move.
It's like Bear said. Is that RuneScape 4 or RuneScape 3?
But I mean, people these days want that instant gratification. The younger generation, as I said, my kids who they got bored of the game because it was it's going to take me a month to get to do this. Screw that. They do, the younger generation, where you want to attract your gamers from, want that instant gratification. And maybe that is RuneScape 4. Maybe we start 3 versions of the game now.
It doesn't have to be instant. It doesn't have to be instant. It doesn't have to be paint drying either, right? Like, I mean, there's an in between.
And we're not talking all skills. We're not talking all skills.
Well, Tanis, how many of the skills do you are?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not talking all skills because a lot of the skills already are already fast enough.
And then
I'm looking at more of a Elder Scrolls model, like
right, which is what you said. Your realization that RuneScape 3's endgame feels like PVM.
Yeah.
And Bears, as the resident PVMer here, does that sound like something that is what RS3 is?
Kind of. I mean, you can get away with PVMing without being maxed. I mean, when I was learning Solak, the person that I went with all the time, he was like 75 agility. He's like, they got me into Prif. I don't need any more. I mean, he's missing some buffs from the max cape, but is that worth the 20, 30 hours of agility training? To some people, probably not, and that's okay. So you can get away with it, but I think also, with how RuneScape is, like, everyone does like that. Oh, I got 99, I got 99. Like, that feeling of accomplishment of getting that 99 is a big deal. Everyone knows that who's ever played the game. So it takes a special kind of human to not want to go get every single 99.
Yeah.
But also with that, I mean,
either.
once you've maxed your skill, PVM is still useful. You go out there because you're going to be making money. You're going to be getting these drops. You max fishing at 99. What's the point, really, other than getting a virtual cape at 120, other than getting a 5.8 mil account? There's nothing useful from endgame skilling where there is in endgame PVM. So,
well, there's nothing fun. It's the bigger problem. It's just the same thing
over and over.
Whereas, and I used to think
no
PVM
diversity
would be like that, but it actually kind of isn't. I mean, yeah, I mean a lot of things I thought it just didn't really end up being like that in practice.
And it comes down to the core discussion of progression. That's what it's about at the end of the day in this section here. Because I think there's a fundamental discussion to be had over what the post-Treasure Hunter RuneScape looks like in terms of how fast is the game? Are people funneled to 120s, 200 mils, trim, comp, master quest, and everything like that after they max alongside PVM? Is that the sole purpose of this game, to get people to that point? I think that's a discussion that needs to be had for this post-Treasure Hunter world. Because that's the path we've been on, like it or not. And I don't necessarily know if you look at the DNA of what RuneScape is, if that's the right way to go.
I wouldn't have believed it before Leagues. The Leagues changed everything.
And see, the real funny thing about this is that Leagues has put me into the opposite category, where I don't want to be pushed to 120s unless they're real. 200s, trim, comp, master quest. I don't want to be pushed towards those things, and that's what Leagues has shown me, which is in many ways the opposite of you, Tanis, and maybe you, Pyrn.
And again, I'm probably a bit biased because it is a limited time game. It was 8 weeks, and I wanted to get to the fun stuff, so I had time to do what I wanted to do. Whereas in the main game, it doesn't matter how long it takes because it's always going to be there. I'm going to do it anyway. So, maybe I have been jaded a bit by what has happened to get to those points, so I can fight racks, so I can go and jump in and do sort of the God Wars 2 so easy and have fun and get the drops and things that I needed. But yeah. It's
the thing for me is that if we go through this integrity roadmap thing and look at the post-Treasure Hunter world, and we get to a point where we're questioning what the progression is going to look like in terms of where people are being funneled, and everything is, again, looking at like this end game kind of funneling, right? I will say that if not for EOC and our combat system as we have it, if we were to continue on this path in a post-Treasure Hunter world, I would have, again, serious conversations and discussions with myself about moving over to old school as a result of that.
Well, I mean...
Because I think the bulk of the game needs to be in that mid-tier. I don't think ramming the XP through and getting everybody to max is the right way to go. I think we've been doing that for a long time, and Leagues has shown me that, maybe it doesn't need to be that way. Maybe it shouldn't be that way.
If they can fix the mid-game, then by all means.
Exactly. That's what it comes down to, fixing the mid-game.
It's going to be is the labor and money that it's going to cost to do that going to bring in players, bring back players from old school perhaps and things like that. I think I mean, I love what they're doing and taking out all the direct XP stuff and all those things. I love what they're doing there. I think it is too late because they're not going to bring back many people from old school. They're established that they're all running for their sort of 99s and max capes and everything over there. I don't think you're going to attract that many people back from
You
there.
don't need to max on old school.
How are you?
A lot of people aren't.
How are you
point.
going? That's right, but how are you going to attract new players? How are you going to bring those old players back? How are you going?
By investing in the mid game.
But do you think you will bring a lot of players back and a lot of new players if they do? Do you think putting say, okay, we're going to put aside $2 million this year to just get all that done? Do you think it will warrant that and they'll get that return on investment?
It depends on the amount of runway that they're given for that with the treasure hunter removal and what happens with the integrity roadmap. Because I think
I'd love to see it that way.
Because I think the game lives or dies based on how successful this post treasure hunter world is going to be.
Like I need to know what the in-game fix is going to be, because whether it's mid-game, in-game, whatever the game, if I'm doing the same thing, and this kind of goes with what Pyrn was saying with like, oh, the RuneScape's always, the main game's always there. But it's not for me. Because if I do the same thing for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks straight, I get bored and I stop playing. And I know that happens to tons of RuneScape players. You get grinding and then you get bored and you can't stand to log into the game. And then you're out for a month or a couple months and you come back in. And when you come back in, you come back in to do something else. You can't even pick up the grind that you were doing half the time. Like, if it's that continued, then that doesn't do anything for me.
See, that's where you and I are different, because I don't sit there and just grind one thing for a week or two straight. That's why I enjoyed Livid Farm, because I do an hour or two. Okay, I've had enough of that. It's annoying me now. I'll go and do something. That's like I maxed all my skills pretty much all at the same time, because I'd get bored of one thing, I'll choose something totally different to do, and I was sort of bouncing around all over the place. And yeah, I understand a lot of people have that mindset. Okay, I want my 99 Herblore now, so I'm going to sit here and make potions for 2 weeks. That would drive me insane. And I think the game, if you had more of that mid-level game, what Shane is saying, if you can make that viable and you can bring people in with that, that's probably the best fix, because you're bringing in more people, you're extending the life of the game, and you're making it entertaining. And that's the whole thing. It's a game. It's supposed to be entertaining, not a job. And if it's not fun, if it's not entertaining
yeah,
that's where the issue is.
And I think
whereas I think Tanis's argument comes from a different side, right?
I'm looking at the modern era, and we're putting in years, versus like most games, you got a 40, 50-hour campaign at best. Some big RPGs, you might have 80, 90. We're here for years. Like, and you talk about new players, you can't get new players like this anymore. No one wants to do that.
There's 200,000 of them on old school.
With the right marketing, I think you could. You need a complete revision on your whole marketing strategy.
I don't think people play old school to play old school. I think old school is a popularity contest, and now you're sunk because you have a time sink, and you're like, shit, I wasted 3 years of my life. I either keep playing or I lost 3 years of my life.
They've also admitted there's around 30 to 40% of those accounts on old school that are botting accounts.
Yeah.
Bears, bring us some common sense here with me being on the.
Hey, Shane, your side I would love to see, but you need to do a complete revision of your whole marketing strategy. You need to get out there to the younger generation and say, hey, this game's fun. This is what we're offering. This is what we're doing. And you've got to have that diversity in the skilling and even in the end game, because there is one best weapon in each skill.
Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Why can't I have?
That is a problem.
Why can't I have the ECB is the best to do this lot, but I need the Seren God bow to do this because the ECB is just crap because you've got to have a diversity.
Well, to be fair, they already kind of do that at tier 92 because the Seren God bow is for AoE, whereas the ECB's whole thing is that it converts your soul split into more damage.
That's right, but what bosses really need AoE?
Well, it goes based on tile size.
Well, yeah, it's not AoE. It's just tile size deals more damage.
Okay, well, we've got to start looking at diversifying what the game does and offers towards
you
that.
Have
that
just
end.
again,
so
you have just again asked for a key old school feature.
Well, so the issue with that is, for your example, if you want two different weapons that are doing two different things, people are going to end up bringing both weapons to every single boss, and boom, now we have more switches.
Or Switchscape.
But I mean, one is pretty much useless against this boss, but it's great against. Remember back in the old days when, the type of fighting style you had mattered with bosses. Now I load up Necromancy and I can own just about everything in the game other than the Dagonoth kings and queens. It doesn't matter. But if the style, if I go
there's an answer to this. If they said part of the integrity roadmap would be looking at the combat status quo, so maybe that's in there.
Yeah, and that's it. And we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we've got to wait and see what happens. And I mean, again, they're going to want what's best for the game. They're going to do what's best for the game because they want to keep their jobs. They need to keep profits rolling in. Taking out their biggest moneymaker, MTX, even though we know over the past 3 years it's dropped year on year on year on year. So they had to do it anyway. I mean, they're saying we're giving the decision to you and all that. Well, hey, the decision was made because you're losing money year on year on year from what you were getting. So you have to do something different.
Yeah.
And that's worked out a good thing for us.
Yeah.
The loss in what Treasure Hunter's bringing in is good for us because it's made them look at this. Now they have to say, okay, how do you if you're taking out MTX, how do you increase revenue? You bring in more players. How do we bring in more players? We make the game fun through all levels, not just at Endgame.
Yeah. Okay, we've been around that XP and Endgame and progression for a while. I want to go back to you on this, Tanis, see if there's anything else that you need to mention or get off your chest here, because this was one of your points.
Yeah, no, it's been cooked.
Okay. The next one that I want to go to is Bear's point about luck RNG and bad luck mitigation when it comes to PVM, because when you look at combat holistically, as might be happening in the integrity roadmap, how do we feel about that?
Yeah, it was, like I said before, it was really nice to get my ECB in 11 kills. That felt a lot better than anything in the main game. So just like, I don't know what the right answer is, because it would be crazy to boost drop rates for everything. But
why?
I feel like there'd be too many. I just feel like that would cause too many issues, like the market and how players are playing the game.
Like a sane example of that is the Sanctum when you look at the tier 95 magic wands and their price.
Yeah.
But again, why?
Takes away a sense of achievement if the stuff comes that easily.
Yeah, like if it was 1 in 10.
I'm not talking 1 in 10, but I'm saying is, why are they so rare? Why is it that someone like Tanis, who just does his skilling, can't afford those weapons because they're so rare and it's the elite PVMers who are the only ones who are allowed to get them? Yeah, two bill for a shard to put on to make your tier 92 or tier 95 and all that. Your weapon ends up costing you 6 or 7 bill. Great for you guys, but for people who want to have the fun with those type of weapons and it's just totally out of their reach, what's wrong with the weapons rather than being 2 bill, being 200 mil?
Bears?
I don't know. I don't know if I have an answer for that. I just...
Sorry, I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah, of course. You're good. So like I just feel like some stuff needs to be boosted in the main game. I mean, I think the big one is AOD is also pretty bad with drops in the main game. So it felt nice that we went in a 4-man team and it felt like 3 or 4 or 5, 6 drops an hour was kind of what we were averaging. So it was like, yeah, if we really wanted to, we could have knocked out that achievement of getting all 4 Braidsoul Codexes in 4 or 5 hours. We didn't, but we could have. But I mean, at the same time, I still had really bad luck in leagues. I was going for a Reaver's ring, so you need 10 Berserker rings for that. And so I went to Rex Matriarchs first. I got the heart in like 2 kills.
Yeah.
So I'm like, cool, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be super quick. Let's go to Dagannoth Kings. So the Berserker ring and the Warrior ring are dropped by the same Dagannoth. And once you roll the table, it's a 50-50, right?
That's the same one I was camping, yeah.
So it took me 31 Warriors rings to get 10 Berserker rings. So I just failed that table 31 times. And again, that happens, but it took me 475 kills to get those 10 rings when I was getting almost one ring every 10 kills.
And you did 4 3/4 more kills than I did there. And I got 2 rings and 2 hatchets in 100 kills.
That's crazy.
And that's luck. Right? And you protract that out in leagues, or rather you shrink that down in leagues. It's protracted out in the main game over hundreds of kills. And it's like you question, what is the solution here, right? Like we're always saying give, some form of bad luck mitigation to make it so that you can't go, a certain number of kills without getting, a special piece of Tutmakin's armor at a Masket, as an example. Or you don't go, Ultra Dryad Care Pack for a staff piece, something to that effect, right? But then the other side of that coin is that it makes it so that the boss is only killable a certain amount of times, because after you're done, you're going to leave unless you absolutely find that boss absolutely engaging to do. And every PVMer I have talked to, with the exception of the people who do, High Enrage and Masket and High Enrage Zamorak, as I think the 2 of them, I think every other boss is just done as a money printer or an item printer. In terms of bosses that people find fun to do, I think it's really just those 2, Zamorak and a Masket.
Those are definitely the 2 big group bosses that people like. And like with the BLM at Zamorak, like people min-max that so much too, where they're like, because I don't exactly remember what it is, but I think at like 100% you start gaining BLM. So you go do that 100% for 10 or so kills, and that's when you start getting it, and then you go 500s from there. And again, I don't remember the exact formula, but there is an exact formula, and the best way to, all right, let's go quickly get 10 kills again so we can start earning BLM, and then let's get to 500% and start camping 500s again. So I is taking advantage of that the right phrase? No, but like people are going to min-max it and make sure they are doing it so perfectly that they are benefiting from it more than they need to be.
And the other option, the other side of the coin from one of the design streams a long time ago, is that you just guarantee the drop after a certain number of kills. But the reality of that then means is that you have to send the value of commons into the toilet so that the boss becomes absolutely trash to do money-wise aside from those items. So it's like, which ones do the PVMers want? Like Bears, which would you be in?
I think the best the thing that would make me the happiest is dupe protection. Like Rizal, you don't need, and like especially as an Iron Man, you don't need more than one of each set. You maybe need 2 lanterns for a flanking switch. Maybe extra panther leg for turtling switch. But if you end up getting 5 lanterns before you get a Omni Guard, or 5 Omni Guards before you get lantern, like that just feels so bad. And that's the only thing you need for lock, and you're just sitting there. Like Rizal has, was it like 8 or 9 things on his table, and just like trying to get that last one is super annoying. Same with Max,
you are
like 20 items on this item.
You are signing up between 1,400 and 1,900 kills on the main game if you want to log that boss.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen like some people throw out the idea that you just get each item, and then from there you can get random items. I don't think that's perfect. I don't think there will be a perfect solution, but that sounds better to me without diving too deep into it.
And to me, I think it's time that something on this be done. Well, because it's been an issue in leagues, and leagues issues are made a whole lot more clear, I think, or rather, the issues in the main game are made a whole lot more clear in leagues because of how fast things are in terms of the XP rates and whatnot. And you definitely see that as well with the drop rates, like your Dagannoth King story and my Dagannoth Kings. And I think it was Eric's Rex Matriarchs and Clan Quest with the spear and whatnot. So you definitely do need to do something. And I think what Bear said is probably the best way to go about that. But again, at the end of the day, this is a fundamental shift in terms of how the game works. And again, I'll point it to old school with the most recent Yama boss there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with how that works, but Yama drops armor, but in the chance that you don't get the armor that you want, it also drops shards that are called Oathplate shards to make the Oathplate armor, so that if you do go horrendously out of whack on your RNG, you can just craft the pieces that you're missing. So that
sounds interesting.
So like with Raziel, if you are, missing that lantern after getting, 2 guards, then what you can do is that you just keep camping the boss for these slightly more common shards, and then just craft the lantern as the option of kind of just skipping that. So I think that, that's another potential path they could go. But again, all these things fall into that same sort of integrity post Treasure Hunter RuneScape of what we want the game to be going into its next era. So, Bears, anything else on the combat RNG side?
Nope.
All right. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, and this was just kind of the meta category, and we've jumped into a lot of these already, like mid-game content, caches, flash events, and the whole shebang on that, so we won't go over those again, is content that could be reworked or just felt broken on leagues. So is there any, for you guys that, made you realize, oh my god, this content is broken in the main game, and leagues really just shows that?
Things like, for me, it was more on the skilling side, because they put the multipliers on and sort of made the drop rate so much better on all the PVM stuff. But things like Baby Yak, I spent 4 hours there just to see how I'd go. Didn't get a Baby Yak. That's worth 80 points. There was another one. Breed every Chinchompa. So you got to breed every. So that means catching all those Chinchompas to be able to breed them. I spent 3.5 hours at Crystal Chins. Didn't get a single baby. What was the other one I had? Oh yeah, things like the attuned teleport seeds.
Did we get a confirmation anywhere if the rare drop rate boost was working on things like animals?
I don't think it was, because
you should have had it by 3 or 4 hours in.
Exactly, because it took me 4 hours to get. No, it took me 4 hours to get our first Jack on the GIMP account. So that's why I spent 4 hours there and didn't get a single yak. So I think they only did it on those other ones. And when you've got, as I said, it's worth 80 points. I mean, if I'm spending 44 hours plus at a place, that's got to be a 200 pointer. I think they need to look at stuff like that. Masterwork armor. You're not getting any real XP for making that type of stuff, and it's
but it was meant to be slow and laborious.
Of course, it was in the main game. When you're putting 400 points on it for 30 hours,
got it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. Yeah, this I'm looking at the league sort of things, what they need to be looking at. I don't think. Sorry, yeah. When you're saying about reworking content, I'm looking at sort of what they could look at next time.
See, I was looking for the main game. I was mentioning main game stuff too, because one of the things that was on my list was auras. We didn't have the auras except for a few of the combat ones, and it would have been nice to have some of those, because if you chose necromancy in leagues, you were locked out of the equilibrium build, which, for people unaware, you can do necromancy in two ways. You can, one, go a full crit setup, or you can opt to not have crits and use the equilibrium aura instead, which negates the need for biting. And this is what a lot of people do who do necromancy in the main game. So you just couldn't do that playstyle in leagues.
Like not having penance was really annoying. Not having a way to get penance at all.
You could buy it from the store, couldn't you? Isn't that one in War's store?
Nope.
Oh, right. That's
vampirism. Yeah, I got vampirism from there early on but. And again, that's it. You could have, if you get so many points, you can use those points to either unlock some of those or do what they did. Just have those auras available in places like War's Retreat that are going to be useful for that. Have it, farming guild, once you hit a certain amount, you can unlock these auras and things like that.
And I think I found out why thieving was so shitty in the league. I think
no 5-footer discount.
Yeah, I think in the main game that thieving is fundamentally balanced around the aura
and the outfit.
Yeah. So all those sorts of things. Again, you can either make the auras available in the league next time, or we can question, with the whole integrity roadmap, what is the place of auras in the game, and should content like thieving be balanced around the need for an aura?
Yep.
So, I already talked about mid-game content. The tool belt was a huge one. I think we were all surprised at tier 4 with what we got.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was really nice.
It was,
especially since I was being Slayer. I was building all mine up, and then all of a sudden get tier 4. It's all unlocked. Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
And I want to again put yourself in the perspective of a mid-game player coming back. How much work do you have to do to fill out that tool belt on the gym? In the main game. And
so when I've been thinking about what am I going to play from here on out, I'm still going to play the gym, but I'll probably be spending more time on the main than I ever anticipated, because I don't want to do this stuff again.
And that's my whole point of putting this section in the show. And what we talked about on the region locking bit is that you can region lock RS3, but even if you do that, there's going to be so much content in the game that is locked behind other content in the game, not necessarily just quests, but other content in the game, and these things stack up into pyramids of locked content. And at the end of the day, it feels like a chore to unlock all of this high-tier content. And I think people, and this is the other thing I think that came up in the league, people were saying, give us quest unlocks and whatnot, right? And I think the problem was that they were running into these pyramids of content that were locked, that were just not fun to play because they were ancient and in the mid-game tier.
Yeah,
I think that's
part of it.
The thing was, and it goes back to what you said, Tanis, about how you want to play more of your main that has all these tools and whatnot now.
Yeah, I don't want to do it again.
That's it. Even things like skilling outfits in the main game. You know, I mean, half the time you're very close to 99 before you unlock a skilling outfit, and it's like, well, what's the point? You know, 99. Now I get the skilling outfit. Well, I'm already at 99 on the thieving and such. You know, I think they need to look at the whole thing about bringing a lot of that stuff down to those mid tiers and making that more.
It comes
fun,
down to
more
making the
entertaining
mid game content better.
Yeah.
And I for a long time didn't believe that in terms of that RS3 needed that, but Leagues has really shown me that. Any other content from any of you that stands out as could be reworked as a result of your experiences?
If I don't say this, I'll be remiss.
Okay.
I still do not understand in today's AI era why I have to read a quest dialogue box. I just don't get it. And it would make a big difference. So we'll get to some good steps.
So that would say,
but
that would be your accessibility update.
As for revealing this, it could be better.
Okay. Anything from you, Bears, on that?
No, I mean, as a person that doesn't like doing quests, it was very disheartening to see the lack of quests they had auto completed for us. I really I get some people like doing quests. That's great. I think the best way to handle it would have been at a certain tier, you can pick 2 quest storylines and you can pick to go as far as you can in that quest line, but you don't get any of the rewards for those quests, like XP rewards. But you can stop the vampire quest line. You can stop 2 quests before the final one, do those last 2, get those huge XP rewards from those, and still get all
so
the
basically
rewards.
Do that as like a shortcut to get to extinction or something like that.
Yes, because I really didn't want to have to do it. Stuff like oh boy, what is the tower defense quest?
Battle of the Monolith.
Yes, I didn't want to have to go do that. There was no way I was going to sit there for 45 minutes and do nothing, basically. So that was an idea that one of my friends threw out there, and I'm like, that's smart. You don't let them get any of the XP rewards. You still give them, if you picked all the way and did the last vampire quest, you can unlock Fires, you unlock Sunspear, you unlock the stuff. You just don't get that XP reward that is obviously huge in Leagues. But that felt like a good way of handling it that I'd love to see in the future, because boy, I don't want to do quests in the main game. I'm not going to do them in
on a time limited mode. It doesn't make sense to want to do that.
And that was because I was at the start. I was going to unlock all the quests. I was going to go through and do all the quests, but I've got 8 weeks. There's other things I want to do, and this is coming from someone who loves quests and wants to do all the quests. I thought they'd unlocked the right amount. I like the idea of having certain ones at certain tiers. You can choose. Okay, we'll unlock either, as you said, we'll unlock either the Vampire Quest or the Desert Quest series. You can choose which one that will unlock for you and do that way.
That would also work.
That would be good, at each different tier. But so saying, and again, there was not a whole lot of points behind quests either. I think there was only sort of 6 or 7 quests that actually had points unlocked. So if you're not going to unlock that many quests, show some love to them and put some actual points to make them worthwhile doing in the game,
And with that, we can get to another thing in terms that we wanted to mention as we head towards the end here, is that, what does the next league look like? And one of those things that has been mentioned is, the point distribution. this league was very heavy on quests, on skilling, and on clues. I think that's probably the best way to put it.
Yep. Well, towards the end, there was all the combat ones were really towards the end, which sort of makes sense when, you know, sort of tier 5 is your first real sort of relic that you can get for PVM anyway. But yeah, it as you said, it was a carbon copy pretty much of old school, because it seemed weird to me that you know.
But even as somebody who has played the old school leagues,
I
I think that we had more focus on quests here. So, Bears, as a PVMer, how do you feel about the point distribution?
There was some definitely interesting ones. I don't remember what boss it was. It was either like Solak or Zami or Telos, like one of those like high end bosses that you just, you know, there wasn't even one for getting one kill, which
I think that's Solak.
Strange. Yeah, and I guess for the most part, you really didn't even need to do Solak in leagues, because if you took the book, you had a Grim, and the crossbows aren't good enough. But like, it still felt weird that like people can take 5 minutes and go kill Solak and get that achievement that should be. I mean, if you're gonna have us go kill 200 of each God Wars dungeon, one boss, like give me one Solak kill at least.
And then you have the other weird ones, is that completing the combat achievements for Raziel and the Sanctum were tasks.
Yeah. And I think, and then I understand the reasoning, but like it was complete all the combat achievements for all the God Wars Dungeon 1 bosses, including Nex. And then it was do all the combat achievements of God Wars Dungeon 2, not including Telos. And obviously Telos is significantly harder than Nex, but that just felt like an inconsistency that...
Because there are people out there who would absolutely relish that task at doing Telos to complete all the achievements on leagues.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely could have been, I mean, or even just like more of the, I mean, there was one that I just saw get 50 Rago kills. That's good. Like, I mean, you're not just going to go for one Rago kill. But there weren't like get 100 Zami kills or other bosses like that. So,
yeah. And I mean, I think if we look at this league as being the one that gets the relic system and the task system in game and sorted as being, you know, the key marketable selling points of the league, and then the next ones expand that out, I think that then you're in a position to have a conversation on that, because I think that's really what happened with this league, is that this was the league where you get the relic system, like the underpinnings for the relic system and the task system out, and then just build on that. Because I know it's a controversial topic amongst you three that you would not play a league without, if there was region locking.
No,
I would not. I think, I mean, there's just like so much going on in so many different places. Like, I remember so many people like rushing to do Priest and Peril on the first day, thinking that you still had to do that quest to unlock Mauritania.
No,
which you don't.
No,
but like to get to the Slayer Tower there, like that is a good place to, like, you're gonna get Slayer tasks there. Like, Slayer takes you everywhere in this game. So like if you're locked to, I mean, Mauritania, you can only do Slayer there. Like, you can't go to Anachronia to go kill dinosaurs. Like,
but the answer to that, and this is what we said in the bit, sorry, it's what makes it interesting. Deal with it. Yeah, because there's other things that you put in place for that, like the old school method of handling Slayers, that all the Slayer Masters have the same task list of critters that are available in all the regions.
But why
and you are allowed to, you know, effectively, you know, choose regions where you would have no, you know, herb patches or allotment patches. You can do that in old school. And sorry, but that's just the way it is.
And that's fine if that's what they want to do, but I just won't play it. It's just because that holds no interest. I don't want to limit myself in that way where I can't sit there and, okay, I train my prayer through Dinosaur Bones, but that means I have to lock Anachronia as one of my things. But then I can't go and get Abyssal Demons or anything like that because I'm stuck on Anachronia. I can't, I think, I don't know what old school is like, but RS3 is too wide-ranging. Things like archaeology with all the relics that you get there, that's why you do it. Things like invention, where you're going to be going and getting things.
The solution we came up with for archaeology in that monthly bit was just boosting everybody to level 20 after doing the tutorial to give access to Infernal Source without needing to go through Caradat.
Well,
yeah, but you're still cutting out a lot of the other things for relics and such. So what's the
make
point?
The decision.
And that's it. And my decision will be I just won't play because I can't do what I want to do.
But here's the thing: you're looking at it like, number one, I don't agree that difficulty equals interesting. That's a different thing for different people.
I have a controversial take on that.
I don't agree on that.
I have a controversial take on that.
And if you do, I do. So be ready.
My controversial take is that region locking actually makes it easier because it limits the task list.
That makes sense.
Because you don't have like a whole world to go through.
But it limits the task list. I can't go as far.
It creates a shorter dopamine cycle. Because the way we looked at this here is that you are effectively on this long slog, right? But if you unlock a new region in a region-locked league, you then get a whole new influx of easy and medium tasks to do, which shortens that dopamine cycle.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that would feel good. What I want out of a league is to feel like a badass pretty much at all times.
Right, which didn't happen in a variety of cases here.
I mean, I felt pretty good.
Okay.
Like, the whole time. So, like, I got everything I wanted. It was and dude, like, we all have enough shit to deal with in regular life. Like, I'm not looking for a challenge like this. Like, I'm just not. That's not what I'm looking for when I'm gaming. I'm looking for fun.
Yeah, I don't want to cut off my nose to
because life itself is already enough of a bitch. Like, I'm not that's where my challenge. I'm getting my challenge, my puzzles. That's fucking work. Like, like I don't. It's not how I want to game. It's not my thing.
Bears, did you feel like you had enough of a power increase here?
As range, no.
Do you think if you would have took melee, you would have?
Melee and magic, yes. 100% would have.
Okay. But yeah, I realize it's controversial amongst this panel, but in the next league, I would like some form of region locking. What is there anything else here before we move on that you guys would like to see out of the next one? We already talked about point distribution and PVM tasks.
Yeah, just as I said, just to look at the sort of drop rates on some of those,
making sure that the boosted drop rates actually work.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've had to fix up a few of those. Well, I mean, it's the first one. We're going to expect some hiccups at the start. I had no issues with any of the hiccups they had. But as I said, you've got to make it across the board on everything. And probably a little less focus on clues and a little more focus on some of the PVM stuff, which is funny for me.
I think if we've learned anything, it's Shane is fundamentally kind of an old school player. You kind of really like it with the way they. And hey, they made some smart choices.
But I don't like the combat over there.
I hear you, but they made some smarter design choices, probably in your eyes. I can see.
Yeah.
That's fair. It's just a different style of gameplay.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. And just to, end this all off here as kind of, the end of the whole thing on League's Catalyst. What are you guys doing differently next time? Let's start with the order we went in, I think, for that. So, Tanis?
Is it bad if I said I wouldn't really do anything different? Like,
okay, no, you're allowed to say that. You're allowed to say that.
I mean, I really had fun. If anything, I wish my computer would have been a little more up to snuff. Because this last week it's been crashing a lot, so it's been real frustrating. But um, I really just enjoyed the shit out of this. It's the most fun I've had since the GIM dropped. This was special, and I feel like it's probably the single biggest thing to ever happen to RuneScape to change my perspective in that short amount of a time. Fresh Start didn't do it. This did it.
I will back you up on that and say that it changed my perspective on RuneScape, but in the opposite way that it changed yours.
Well, we're going through changes.
Bears, how about you?
Yeah, I would change my tier 5 relic. In case that wasn't obvious.
I'll just save you a few points. Make all the combat relics better except for melee. If you were to copy them into the next one directly, keep the melee one the same and just change the other ones entirely.
I think you could even go more with melee too. Like, from what I understood how old school worked, it was an insane difference. And none of them were that great. Melee was good. It wasn't great. The other thing I did really consider taking Everlasting Faith.
Just for a chilled experience, right?
Yeah. So I went to raids, and it was right when I got tier 5, and the person hosting the raid was tier 7. They had the melee relic and they had Everlasting Faith, and they just sat there letting Beastmaster just hit him over the head, hit him over the head, hit him over the head, and they just never took damage. And I was like, everyone died, and he just like sat there, just like barely hitting him for like 5 minutes, and eventually we got the kill. And I was like, this is sweet. So I could have considered that too.
A lot of people slept on it, and there was a lot of elitism that I saw that said, that anybody who chooses it is making the wrong decision. But I think if we had the stats of what those, final relic tiers look like, I think people would have been surprised how many Everlasting Faithers there were. So
I was one.
Yeah. Oh God. For me, what would I do differently next time? I would question, whether I need to get to tier 5, tier 6 as soon as I did, or if it would have been better to go with something like Production Master to make the push beyond tier 7 a little bit easier with that. That's probably the one thing that I would have done differently with that. And I agree with Bears as well. Completely rip out the combat relics and just make them so much more powerful next time. Those would be my two big things, and I think my big takeaway at the end of it all is that I finally learned that my problem with the previous two old school leagues wasn't that I didn't like the game mode, it's just that I wasn't playing properly for what I wanted. So, Pyrn?
Yeah, for myself, I was pretty happy with the way I went. I would obviously drop the clue one next time. I'll just ignore clues next time. Probably try and get to...
But it's 5,000 plus points.
Yeah, but I can get that in other ways. There was enough there. Especially if I had have rushed my tier 5 to get the 8 times, I think it was at tier 5, wasn't it? 8 times at tier 5?
Yes.
XP, and then just constant, because I did a couple of 99 sort of by the time I was tier 3. I would rush sort of tier 5 first off, and look at something different on tier 4. Even if I did, like you guys, use the one where you can choose one of the earlier 3 ones.
But No comment on that decision. That is not a decision. That is not a decision I would have made. Sorry, Tanis.
But yeah.
No, I know. It wasn't a popular one.
No.
I just don't like agility.
I hit everything I wanted to hit, so I was good.
Excellent. Well, that's a...
Sorry.
Oh.
I have to run.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say, that's a wrap on League's Catalyst, but if you... if you have to go. Yeah,
sorry, my daughter's just rocked up, so I do have to take off. I wasn't expecting to go quite this long, but we had a good discussion on the earlier things. Thank you, everyone. Happy scaping to all, and I will catch you all next time.
Thanks, Pyrn.
See you later.
But we do have Tanis's accessibility changes as well here. I was surprised when we got these this week here.
Yeah, it was definitely unexpected. I was really glad to see that they brought everything into one place. But the star of the show obviously is the being able to adjust the mouse, and this is gonna. You'll probably understand the shame because you have seen my screen before.
Yeah.
But the reason that this is such a big deal is imagine when you have to magnify your screen. Everything, your field of view is going down, everything's getting bigger.
Yeah.
Right? Well, part of that magnification comes because you got to get the mouse pointer big enough to be able to move it around.
Right.
I can see an icon a lot easier at a much smaller size.
So what we're talking about is this last one. Cursor size settings has been added. Default 1, but there's also 2 and 3x options. So basically, if I understand it correctly, what this lets you do is you can set it to 3x, and that means that you can have a wider field of view of the rest of the game because you can see where your mouse is going to click.
Exactly. But it is a huge... If that was in place, I probably could have done the Battle of Monolith. Like, that's the difference that can make. And I've seen that, just already. That's the one. I mean, I know there's others, but that was the big, when you deal with field of view as much as I do, it's a big deal. So
that's the big one. What about making it so that you can use full screen interfaces? So whenever you open up an interface, like the settings and whatnot, it goes full screen.
Yeah. I think it's a good change. I mean, I think it's positive. It didn't change much for me. It's actually better sometimes having that smaller because it's a little bit
I was wondering.
Tighter. Yeah. And that's what I tried to. Sometimes people don't understand. Like, you can, for like a visually impaired person, you might actually see an iPad better than an 80-inch television.
Because you can bring it close up to your face, right?
And you see the whole screen. Versus when you're looking at something that big, it's all stretched out and you can't see it all at the same time. You're because your vision is messed up, it's damaged, so you're looking. But it's the same effect.
Okay.
So.
And then the other big one is that all the accessibility settings are now located in a central spot, in the settings menu next to the ribbon option, which I think is great. Finally having them in there. High contrast mode, text, visual, everything there.
Yep, that was really, really nice. And that's something we'd talked about back when high contrast mode had came out, about pulling these all together. Yeah, and it's good job. So yeah, but the cursor.
Star of the show.
That's the star of the show.
All right. Good.
Going back to high contrast mode, that was used a lot in leagues, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, like, if you were going to the butterfly wilderness event, sometimes those butterflies are hard to find with 100 people there. So everyone like turn on high contrast mode, and it helped so much. Just so you'll see the butterflies and not the people running around.
Yeah, that makes sense. I even did that for the combat ones, so I could more easily click on like the dragons and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, and there's always this perception, and I think we've done a good job at kind of rattling it down over the years, is that accessibility is typically thought of as a thing that is just for people with impairments, visual, sensory, whatever it might be, but it can make everybody's gameplay better. And, I use high contrast mode every other week, at least when I go hunt the Raven in Prif, because in such an environment like that's busy, it's just so much better to have the Raven, easily clickable as a yellow entity in there. So, other ones include full screen dialogue boxes are now less transparent for mobile and PC when enabled. You can also use the middle mouse button for camera control when full screen dialogue boxes is turned on. That wasn't turned on previously. So, and there is no one size fits all with accessibility too. That's something we've had over the years. So,
yeah, absolutely. Two people with the same exact condition can have very different solutions. I literally see that every day.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, with that, we're going to wrap the show up here, but we do have some achievements to go through on the section as per usual. So, starting off, we have Lady Claw with 200 million fletching XP on the 5th. Expolonia got 99 cooking on the 5th. Crazy Leg 722 got 120 farming on the 4th, and Chimney Lax got 99 dungeoneering on November 3rd. Bears, I tagged you for Pyrn's segment since he's not
gotcha.
here. And then I'll do your outgoing one.
What a name to start with. Turd Sniffer 0 got 120 herb on November 3rd. Rhino got 200 mil summoning on the 3rd. Jadchor got 200 mil hunter on the 1st. And then, how would you pronounce that one?
Arendelle.
Okay, that's not what I was going with. 120 strength and defense on Halloween, October 31st. Congratulations.
Nicely done, everybody. Cool. And then Pyrn got 63,500 points earlier today, which wraps up enough points to buy everything in the store.
I was wondering what was significant about that, and so I eventually found it on the wiki. I was like, what was 63,500? Got it.
Yeah. Avernick maxed on the 6th. Thexy got rune rank on the 5th, and Zerdone's got dragon on November 1st. So everybody's wrapping up their league's experience as we get to the end of it here in a few days. So all well and good. I do have a pick of the week here for us this week, and this one is one that is it's a little bit out of left field. So many people will know that Windows is notorious for not having a text editor that programmers like. People always install things like Notepad++ or Visual Studio Code if they're wanting to do things in a more IDE-like environment. But the thing is, what about a simple text editor that could just, allow you to edit a configuration file or something like that? Well, many people say the answer is to just use Notepad. But what Microsoft has done is they have put in a very simple, very lightweight text editor that'll be making its way into future versions of Windows 11 that is simply called Microsoft Edit. And the you can download this directly from the GitHub archive before it makes its way into Windows if you want to have it right now. It's just a plain Jane text editor that you would use for editing things like configuration files, as an example, or if you just wanted something that was a little bit more laid back than, dare I say it, Notepad. So that's the use case for this. But the fun thing about this is that they wanted to include a text editor that programmers could use in the binaries for Windows 11. But there is such a push at Microsoft to keep the images and ISOs that deliver Windows 11 small, and it's very difficult to get something included in that. So their response was to ship a text editor that's less than a megabyte in size, which is what this does. And to add it all into this, the main dev who initially started hacking on this project started this as a side project because he wanted to learn a new language called Rust and see if the Rust language could be incorporated into the stack that they use and what is shipped with Windows. And, lo and behold, he was successful. To make a long story short, Rust is a programming language that a lot of people get excited about because it's type safe, and it's something that has caught on in recent years, so everybody wants to be a little bit familiar about it. It can be very powerful, as is shown here. It can actually generate applications that look like they fit directly into Windows, and it was effectively a project he wanted to use to learn Rust, and lo and behold, he was able to do that, open source the entire thing, and now you can just download it for Windows if you want to use it before it gets incorporated there. So if you're at all interested in terms of how the spaghetti is made and how things like something like a text editor might look, or if you're a Rust fanatic, you can just go into the GitHub repository and find all the source code for this text editor that is, when fully compiled, about 780 kilobytes in size for its binary. And a lot of the time we don't talk about what modern Windows is, but there are still these sorts of things like this that Microsoft endeavors to try and include in the operating system to effectively modernize it from that perspective. So that's the pick of the week. It's called Microsoft Edit. It will be in Windows in the near future. I don't remember if it's in with the fall update or the spring update for 2026 or the fall 2025 update, but it'll be making its way to Windows 11 sooner rather than later. And that's the pick of the week. One that's kind of off the beaten path, Microsoft Edit. Any questions?
It's amazing. It's under a millibyte.
Yeah, under a megabyte.
Megabyte. But
so
that's amazing. Yeah.
When you consider, the fact you go to any website, images on that website are going to be more than a megabyte in size. So that's the pick of the week. But I think we're pretty much done with this episode. I don't have anything else left to say on my end here. Bears, good? Anything?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. I had to have the same panel on who was doing our first ever Leaks Theory Craft. Tanis, any parting words?
This was I had a lot of fun with this league. And it made RuneScape fun for a while. So that was awesome. And I look forward to going back to the main game and killing some stuff. Definitely gave me a new perspective. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like the seeing how many people were at wilderness events during leagues was really cool to see. Everyone talking and giving tips and tricks was really fun. And then going back to the main game and seeing 3 people at wilderness events was a little sad, but I'm hoping that once the league ends, there'll be more people there again. But yeah, seeing the community kind of rally together was really cool.
Yeah, and for the first 2.5 weeks or so, I was watching the player count, and it hovered around, an average of 30, 36, 38K, peaking to the 50Ks at busy time. So, which is good for the game, but, in terms of, raw numbers, that's on par with what last Christmas event did. So it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah. It's a different year too. We'll see about this Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Do apples to apples.
Yeah, and we have that next week, the Treasure Hunter removal plan. And we'll be talking about that next week. So, if you want the podcast delivered to you, the best way to get it is to subscribe. Update.show/subscribe. We're on all the big podcast listening services out there: Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Spotify, And of course, YouTube as well, youtube.com/RSBANB. Do give us a like and subscribe there. Greatly helps the channel out. But yeah, subscribe if you want to get that episode on the treasure hunter removal as soon as it's there. But thank you both for being here, and Pyrn too, even though he's not here right now.
Good to be here.
And with that being said, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
See ya.